You are listening to You and the Truth, where we will give you the truth face to face. Now, what you do with it is up to you.
Hey, welcome to You and the Truth. I'm Rattin Ralph, and I am here with Rick and Tom, and I'm going to let them take over. I'm just going to say something before you guys get started. I did not watch the entire debate. And by the way, this is called, I call it the Debate Debacle. Because every time I see these bozos, first of all, I can't stand politicians. And this is why I love Trump, because he's not a politician. But I see these guys on stage. What a bunch of morons. So, I started watching this thing. I had to step away. My wife says, where are you going? I said, I'm going to go puke. Yeah, seriously, it's disgusting. So I'm just going to lay back. And Rick, I'm going to hand it over to you and Tom. Because my dad always told me, he says, look, son, when you get together with people, be the dumbest guy in the room. And I want to let you guys take over and just because I can't handle this. Rick, turn it over to you.
Okay. Going into last night, I was very optimistic, to be honest with you, with some unbelievably good candidates coming in on paper. You know, it's like a sports team. On paper, God, they're great. The stats all line up. They're saying the right things. Then they open their mouths. So last night, let me just start with supposedly the front runner. What happened to DeSantis? The guy is so great on his feet in press conferences, slamming left liberal media left and right and quick on his feet. Last night, it looked like an AI was running him. Very robotic, very mechanical. Everything looked nervous, terribly nervous on his very first point. Now, do I love his ideas? Of course I do. I mean, who doesn't love the part when he said he's going to take troops into Mexico and take care of the cartels? Yeah, that's the right thing to say to right-wingers. Are you going to do it? Probably not. I mean, we can talk it, but is he going to do it? I don't know. So to me, polished, of course, because he has all the right answers, but way too scripted, way too robotic. Where's that guy that slams the media every time they turn wrong on him? That's who I want to see.
Tom?
So I don't disagree with anything you said there, but it's very predictable, though. If we go back in Ron's career, when he ran for Congress, he was a deer in headlights, his first media shows. When he was going up against Putnam, totally, he looked so out of his element. He looked like a fish out of water in his first debate against Putnam. Putnam crushed him. The same thing happened against Charlie Crist. You felt the same way. Ron, number one, is not comfortable in that format. He does not like debate. It's just not his thing. He's a brilliant guy, and I can tell you some stories of that just to exemplify his brilliance. His problem is he lacks charisma, right? So what happens in debate prep is they say, okay, here are the questions you're going to get. Be prepared with this answer. Be prepared with this quip. Be prepared with this retort. Be prepared with this response to so-and-so. And so he is a bookish person who looks at things, absorbs them, and has them on his mind, right? So in that debate set, you can see him. He's looking at the camera, and he's listing off the things he needs to say. And blah, 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 blah. He does it. But there's no emotion there. There's no vitality there. There's no personality. There's just no communication in a Reagan sense, in a Trump sense. Totally agree with you 100% on that. But here's what I was impressed with DeSantis. He stayed on script with who he is. The governor that led America was the guy who pushed back against Fauci, pushed back against Trump, in fact, right? He pushed back against President Trump during the early days of the lockdowns and said, yeah, we're going to do it, but we're just going to do it for this long, period, right? And he stuck to it. This is the guy who, last night he talked about the deep state. You're right. He talked about the border, and he said, we're going to go to where the fentanyl is being distributed across the border. He said the things that needed to be said. Here's the problem, and this is the debate. And so I'll qualify it this way, and I'm going to go from the macro down to the micro. America lost last night. You're exactly right. Trump won last night, and you're exactly right on that. Fox News was abominable. They were horrible. Martha McCallum was reading from talking points memos from the Democrat Party. They spent basically of TV time. They spent 20 minutes, but it was 7.5 minutes of debate time. The number one topic was abortion. Republicans don't care about abortion in the moment in terms of what are we going to do next. We've already done it. Trump won the Supreme Court, set the Supreme Court, and we now have it back in the 9th and 10th Amendment back to the states. That's what we want as Republicans. Simply put, that should not have been an issue even discussed last night. So Fox News was working the Democrat playbook. They wanted what they got. They wanted that brawl. They want that brawl. They wanted that beer brawl, the beer push. Let's put it that way, right? Because that's what they wanted. That's what they got. And it was embarrassing. But DeSantis tried to stay on script, but ultimately his failure was this.
Yeah.
That was his failure.
Yes.
And I'm sorry. Listen, you can both be challenging President Trump and say, I think I would be a better president, and also say this is the biggest injustice in American history, and I will defend this man all the way because it could be me next. That's how you answer the question. You don't look around and say, okay, yeah. By the way, every one of these candidates supposedly signed an agreement that they would support the nominee no matter who it is. So it should have been an easy everyone yes and say, well, we already signed that. What's your next question, right?
Yes.
So DeSantis, his slow hand is going to be listen, it follows up on the week earlier when he called out Trump voters instead of Trump. You never call out a person's supporters. You call out the person. If you don't like what Donald Trump's doing, call it Donald Trump. You don't minimize or malign his supporters, because guess what? Ron, you will need them someday. And either you're going to choose to leave politics or you're going to stay in politics. And listen, I love Ron. And I'll finish it on this by saying I have been in politics my entire life. I mean, when I say entire life, since I was a toddler, I've been in politics. Ron DeSantis is probably individually one of the top 5 in terms of intellect I've ever met as a politician, in terms of his ability to recall things. He's got a strategic mind, but none of that was on display last night. He needs to pick up his game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen, I just want to throw something in here, a couple of comments. DeSantis, I'll touch on him first very quickly. There's a huge difference between a press conference, Rick, and a debate.
Yep.
Oh, let me do this. I'm sorry. Let me just do this for a moment because we were just talking about Ron DeSantis.
That's nice.
There you go.
So
nice.
I'm going to do this because listen, I've said this from day one on this topic, and that is, I only have. In all honesty, I had 2 choices coming in. It's either President Trump or Ron DeSantis. I will be happy with either one of them as president because I know both of them will fight back against the media, fight back against the deep state, as Ron was talking about the deep state last night. I'd be happy with both. What I'm not happy with is this is a team sport. Campaign politics on this level is a team sport. We cannot shoot ourselves with flesh killing wounds and expect to win on election day. We have to focus on the issues, never focus on the individual, focus on the issues. Let the people decide who the best candidate is. And unfortunately, Fox did not allow that to happen last night.
Yeah. Well, I think Fox is a joke, to be honest with you.
Oh,
the first big bad move was Bill O'Reilly getting rid of him. Then now when they got rid of Tucker Carlson, I turned around to the people I've talked to, I said, this is it.
Oh, so by the way, I just want to say this.
Tom, what the hell you got there?
He's got every candidate.
So I just want to say, listen, these are both my candidates, and I like them both. And I'm just going to say I like them both, and just make sure everyone can see it. Okay, so DeSantis land. I love it. Yeah. So I'm sorry, guys. Back to
you're good.
But okay, I'm sorry. The last thing I'm going to say on this, it all boils down to this. Okay, it all boils down to
here we go.
All boils down to this.
Great again.
Make the Constitution great.
Yes, that's true.
That's what it all boils down to. All
Now
right.
you're going Levine. Yes,
Yeah,
great
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I hear you, man. I hear
Well,
you.
I'll tell you this, Ralph, real quick on the Fox thing. We need to do some deep diving, people out there. Fox is not a right wing. Look who runs it.
Correct.
Look who owns it.
Yeah, you're right.
Why do you think they got rid of Bongino and him?
Yeah, but it's
know
all
what
we
they're
got,
doing.
Rick. It mainstream media. What else do we have?
Nothing. Newsmax, I guess, is where you're going to have to go at some
But
point.
they're not mainstream. Are they mainstream?
No.
No.
So to your point, they are not on all the cable networks. They're not on all these. But keep in mind, we're in a transition phase right now. The media is in decline in general, right? I mean, the alphabet media is in decline. OAN is on the rise.
Yes.
One American Network is on the rise. Basically, look at Twitter. I mean, look what happened last night. And this is one of the reasons we know that Trump won is because Tucker on X produced even higher ratings than the debate, which the debate was the highest watched debate in American history. So on that level, let's keep in mind, people are upset and they want to see what the change will be. So they tuned in, but they also tuned into Trump as well. So I'll leave it there.
No, that's really good points. Very good points.
Yeah. One final comment is, see what you guys think about this. I've always said that the Democrats have something that the Republicans don't have. And that is that they stick together come hell or high water. Nobody defects. It's like a mafia, dude. It reminds me of that clip from the Star Wars thing where the big honcho comes on and he says, come to the dark side.
Yes.
We either live together or we die together. You see?
They do.
And that's the way they are, dude. They're like cockroaches. They stick together like rats. They don't defect. You see these Republicans, they're all over the place. They criticize each other. Can you explain that? Can somebody explain that shit to me?
Vivek made that point perfectly clear when he was talking about Christie, and he said to Christie, it's vengeance against one person with you. And we should be channeling to your point, Ralph, we should be channeling the Ben Franklin notion that we all better stand together, right? We're all hang together. So that's the reality. Republicans have to have that same unity, as you point out, Ralph, that the Democrats always have.
I've never seen it, and I don't think it's going to happen now. Okay, Rick, you're next.
No,
point.
I like where Tom was going with Vivek, too, because you're talking about a man that was absolutely targeted last night. They're scared of him, and they should be, by the way. They should absolutely be petrified. He owned that stage last night. Mm-hmm. You want to know why? Because he took on everybody and didn't care. He was Trump last night, 110%. He took on every single battle. The Christie one was hilarious when he said, okay, Obama, come, you going to hug me like Obama? He owned that stage. He owned the debate, in my opinion. Of course, people are going to say DeSantis won it because it's DeSantis. He's the front runner. I get that. His points were great. And I am not a DeSantis hater at all. Love him. Yale baseball player, one of the most brilliant minds ever as far as naval guy. I mean, come on. How can you not love that dude? But just like he said, I'm hoping it was a slow start. I hope he picks it up. Vivek, let me tell you something. Young ideas, like he said, is exactly what we need in this party. Mm-hmm. Get rid of the old guard. Like he said, if your car was broke, you don't take it right back to the person who broke it, do you? Take it to somebody new to fix it. And my last point, because I love listening to Tom on these, but whoever wins this presidency, if you do not make this man a cabinet head of something, you're missing the boat 110%. You're missing everything. And if he doesn't get it, run for Senate, be a congressman, do something, because this guy's brilliant. He's brilliant. He's got a young family, young wife. He is the American dream. His parents came over. He's turned 3 companies into billion-dollar companies. I mean, come on. That's the American dream.
So
all right, let me throw. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let me throw a question at you. Do you think it was a good move on Trump's part to not participate?
100%. Absolutely. 100%.
Why?
Well, simply point, you don't give credibility to, listen, when you're winning by the percentage that he's winning, you don't give credibility to the opposition.
Yeah, I mean, he's at 55%. There was no reason for him to do this last night. Of course, we're selfish and we wanted to see it because he would have owned some people last night, let me tell you. he would have destroyed a couple people.
Absolutely.
And you know what? You know what? He had a supporter there because Vivek loves him.
Yes.
Loves him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could see these politicians pairing up. I mean, if Christie wasn't up Pence's ass any deeper, I don't know how far he's got to go to be that guy, but that's why he's so fat, I guess. I mean, that dude was eating his ass last night. It was embarrassing.
Yeah. So to your point on Vivek, so let me give you the pros and I'll give you the con on Vivek last night. Number one, he was high energy, right? And that's what young America, as you point out, Rick, young America, interestingly here, you've got Ron DeSantis, who is just a few years older. We've got, 5, 6 years, 7 years older, 6 years older.
True.
So he's not even half a generation older, but he acted a full generation older last night. And he's got to learn to gear it up. Vivek came out with gravitas. He came out with energy. He came out with vim, back as they said back in the 1940s, right? But here's the beautiful. He hit the right tones. He talked about revolution, right? America right now is there's two levels into America right now. You have this young generation who, again, like every young generation, does not like what their parents are leaving them. Right. And so even if you're talking about the hippies of the 1960s, it was revolution. Even with the conservatives of the early 1980s, it was revolution because they were tired of what we saw coming out of the 70s with corruption and Carter. Right. And so what Vivek is demonstrating is this newness, this freshness. Now, he's right on Ukraine. He's right on mental health when it comes to crime and these issues we're facing. He was right on pushing up against the establishment and the deep state, and his declaring war on the administrative state. You know, that is you're feeding the map. You're feeding the base, right? The base has been watching
absolutely.
This since 2015. How the administrative state, and hell tonight with Trump being indicted and having to go get his picture taken. For the post office, right? And every news. But here's the beauty: Trump is like he always does. He's going to take that picture, that perp walk picture. He's going to put it on every shirt and every hat and say,
absolutely.
And he's going to say, you know, the Democrats have Che, liberty-loving Americans have Trump. And he's going to put the picture on it, right? I mean, Democrats have Che or Z. G and we've got Trump. So he's going to make a lemonade out of lemon there.
He's going to turn into a rapper. He's going to be the most wanted.
Yes,
I mean, I can
exactly.
see that.
Absolutely.
That shirt already. Yeah.
Climate change. His answer on climate change. Everyone else on that stage, including Ron, cowered to that question, which was a Democrat question. It's not a Republican.
100%.
And so I'm going to share something with your audience on this moment, and this is important. Vivek didn't say it, but he was right on the issue. I want the audience to Google Tunga Hunga, TONGA HUNGA, and it was January 15th last year. It was an incredible. Remember Mount Pinatubo blowing its stack. Remember Mount St. Helens blowing its stack. In history books, people will read about Krakatoa blowing its stack. This was the most significant climactic event in the last 125 years, and it put more water vapor into the atmosphere. NASA's articles on this reflect that global temperatures should rise between 1.5 and 2.5 degrees Celsius since last. And what are we watching? Record temperatures everywhere. We're watching changes in weather patterns in terms of drought here, too much rain there. It was all predicted, but the media didn't touch it. They wouldn't talk about it. No one knows about it. I'm sure either one of you don't even know about it. But
I didn't know
none of the 8 candidates last night mentioned it. But this is an example of where Vivek had the best answer, but it wasn't the best answer, right? It was the best answer, and he's 100% right. And they all should have agreed. Someone should have said, it's a bullshit question. This is a Republican primary debate. And if you want to go kowtow to the fake science of global warming, and now that they've called climate change, because ever since the world was created, we've had climate change every single day. So here's the thing. Vivek, here's my scary part about Vivek, though. I'll add this. he has only voted twice in his past.
Mhm.
So I worry
Yep.
about his, he's a mile wide and an inch deep. And
Right.
so
Right.
I don't know the veracity of what he says. He's saying the right things, but I don't know how well he believes them. But he says them in the right way, and he says it
Right.
with an educated voice, meaning it doesn't sound like it's shallow. He reminds
Right.
me somewhat of Perot, and that scares the daylights out of me. And it does, and here's why. And I'll just finish it on this point about Vivek. This is my concern. I need more proof in the pudding from Vivek.
Yep.
I love what I've heard, but he has changed his positions even since 4 months ago. And so it's important to understand that trajectory. We need consistency, not someone who's just going to answer the right answer to the right questions, because he's a brilliant guy, and he demonstrates that over and over
Brilliant
again.
guy. Yeah.
So here's my concern: is Perot. Keep in mind, Perot received a historic amount of votes. We hadn't seen that many votes for a third-party candidate since 1908 or 1910, or 1908, I think it was. So my point being, the minute Perot lost and he triangulated and gave the presidency to Bill Clinton, you never heard of Ross Perot again on all these important issues that he felt so passionate about, that he spent millions and millions and millions of his money to run for office, and then he evaporated and never rose his head again. He was a creation, I guess is my point. He was a plant. He was a triangulation of Dick Morrison and that crowd against Bush. I worry, and here's what I worry about. Vivek has this character. He's charismatic. Does he become a third party candidate to triangulate the youth away
from Trump?
Yeah. This is I worry about the Trojan horse potential here. And I'll be honest, I'm just going to leave it there. So I need more proof in the pudding. I'll leave it there.
I want to touch on a couple things real quick, Ralph. The Ukrainian thing, he's spot on. We know it. Yep. Me and you know this, right? Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, when I text you guys that, talking about too many of these guys have business interests in keeping wars going, right?
Yep.
Did you hear him slight Nikki Haley?
Oh God,
when he said, "Oh, you still on Lockheed Martin as a board member?" And she was like, "I am not."
Well, no, okay, so
like, bingo.
In her defense, she wasn't, but she was on the board.
I know, but
she was on the board of
he
Boeing.
He knows where he's going.
No, but she was on the board of Boeing. I think in his mind, he knew that talking point. I think he just erred on saying which company. The one that came to mind was Lockheed Martin, not Boeing, because it was Boeing.
Yeah, but he's dead. He's
absolutely
dead right. Just like he said, everybody on this stage is paid for.
Yes,
he was dead right on that.
Yes.
So that's what I liked about him, because that's very Trump-like. Everything he did when those slights back at him was Trump-like. I was like, good for you, dude.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm with you on that, Tom. You can't put anything past anybody. If he splits off and takes those votes, Republicans are dead if he goes independent, honestly.
See, keep in mind. So remember, and we've got to understand that the other side knew they had a Manchurian candidate. They knew the corruption of Joe Biden and his family. Yep. Everyone knew it. We knew it, right? So he hides in he hides in his cellar, and he wins the election because of COVID and COVID law changes. That laws that were able to be changed legally and illegally because of COVID. So they knew that then. They know now the only chance they have to win, and this doesn't matter who their candidate is, because it won't be Joe Biden. It's going to be Newsom. It's going to be Michelle. It's going to be someone else. But the only way they can win is to triangulate by creating a third-party candidate who's going to peel off a conservative, radical, anti-government base, and that can harm Trump. That's my worry.
Yep. But are you talking about the primaries?
No,
the
I'm
GOP
talking about after the primaries. I'm talking about the general election.
Yeah.
He's saying no matter who it is as a Republican, because I get where he's going with that. Yeah.
Let me ask you, Rick, and I'll go to you first. Did anybody really think that any of these guys think that they can beat Trump? I mean, here was the stage last night. No. So to me, it was almost like these guys are there and they're vying. To me, it's they're putting themselves out there and they're vying for some sort of cabinet post or something, because they know
or
he's
vice president,
right? Am I wrong in assuming that?
Yes, yes,
No.
yeah. No, you are wrong. So the secondary reason is Rick's right about is that it's VP or a cabinet position. But no, here's what everyone's vying for. This is why there were so many challengers to Trump, and that is there are four there are four indictments against Trump right now. All it takes is one of them to succeed and put him in jail, and then one of these others may fill that gap on the Republican ticket. We don't know how that's going to play out, but they all recognize that potential is uniquely high because one of these indictments is in New York City, one is in Washington D.C., one is in Fulton County.
Atlanta.
All
Yep.
three are easy. Remember what Lav Beria, the secret police chief of Stalin's, said about. He said, "Show me the man, and I will show you the crime." And each of these crimes that the indictments were always about the man first. They were all saying, "Okay, here's Donald Trump. Let's go find the crimes for him." This is purely Soviet in its creation.
Yeah.
So my point of saying that is, if three of these four, other than the Florida indictment, which actually surprisingly is the strongest indictment, but it's still not strong. It's still not better than 50-50, but it's still stronger. The reality is, all it takes is one of these Democrat juries, because they're going to be Democrat juries. D.C. voted 95% against Trump.
Yes.
So you can guarantee there's not going to be a conservative or Republican on that jury. New York City, that particular precinct, voted like 76% against Trump. The best one is Atlanta. Fulton County was 30% for Trump. The reality is he's going to get indicted unless these cases get thrown out. Now, the Fulton County has a very good chance of being thrown out for a variety of reasons. But the point is, I think these guys calculated the risk reward, and they said there's a good chance that Donald Trump will be in jail. And that's why the question is, if Donald Trump is in jail, if he's in prison, would you still support him? Now, they all raised their hand except Asa Hutchinson. Even Christie did, but then Christie said, "Oh no, that's not what I was doing." But the reality is,
he said he was doing this, pointing over.
They all signed the pledge. They all signed the pledge. But here's the point: they also know that that pledge is worthless as the paper was signed on. But here's the point: if he's in jail, one of them can possibly ascend into the actual race, and that's why they did it. That's why they all did it.
I don't know. First of all, I don't think he's going to be found. Even if he's found guilty on any one of those, this thing is going to go all the way to the Supreme Court on all kinds of issues.
Correct.
Yes.
So, and this to me, it's a smokescreen. It's distraction. They throw everything out, like you said. This is Trump. Throw everything out. Hopefully, something will
sticks.
Well, they know.
Well, even on that level, to your point, Ralph, it's financial, right? Think about this. Trump has to spend money, significant amounts of money. Now he's got not just one indictment he's facing, he's 4 indictments. So he has to hire 4 sets of attorneys. He has to he has to spend all that money that should be raised to going to win the presidency is going to fight these things. And we're talking about $1 billion at minimum to run for president.
I'll disagree with you there, because to him, not only him, but his circle, money is no object. You think he's going to let money get in the way of this? This man's ego is so huge. It's so huge. This guy wants to destroy. He's not going to let money get in the way. Money is not going to be an issue. There's going to be donors coming out of the woodwork for this guy.
That's truth.
Well,
I'm telling you.
But keep in mind. So I disagree with this, and I'll tell you why I disagree. Because this is actually the real reason why they have all these indictments. And here it is. It's the lawfare that's going on. Remember the initial attorneys in Atlanta that were helping him fight the lawsuit, or basically fight the legal challenges related to the loss of the election. Attorneys want to be able to have a career. And so what's happening is the purpose that the leftists are using this lawfare, which is the effort to use lawsuits as an abusive tactic, is to weaken the interest attorneys will have to defend conservatives to defend
True.
good legal issues that we would support. And so it is drying up. People are losing their courage because they recognize everyone's getting away with it. There's the FBI, the deep state, the weaponization of the DOJ, the weaponization of the CIA, the entire executive branch. This has gone a long way. People are afraid. People are afraid to speak up. Look at the way they worked with social media, kicking people off, New York Post off the social media. None of this was done just to do it. It was done to suppress free speech, liberty, our Constitution.
Tom, what's the name of that law firm that they actually have created to go after lawyers that defend Trump?
Oh, yes.
They are.
Yeah.
They have a entire law staff doing this.
Correct.
That's why they're all backing away.
Well,
they've targeted them like that.
This is the Soviet, again, it's Soviet style to chill dissent of any kind.
Yes. Yeah. It's sad.
Rick,
it's
do you have is there something else you wanted to bring up? Another point on the debate?
No, I was just going to go to Christie, but if we want to just go to predicting, but the debate to me was, I mean, the last 3 or 4 candidates, except for Nikki Haley, I thought were very bland, to be honest with you. Pence got owned. I think going back to the Vivek thing, when he doesn't have a pulse on the U.S. and what Vivek was trying to say, and Pence is like, what we need is a stronger government just like our people. And I'm like, whoa, dude.
Wait.
Now you're going into big government again. Go ahead.
No, you said Pence. I didn't.
Yeah.
I saw Race Bannon on stage. I didn't see Mike Pence.
Dude, his hair looked like Jimmy Johnson and Dallas Cowboys, man. That thing didn't move.
I know. It's so to your point, and this is sad. I mean, so I'm going to read some numbers off to you guys real fast.
Okay.
Pence had 12.37. Vivek had 11.47. Christie had 11.22. Ron had 10.22. Haley had 8.41. Scott had 8.15. Burgum had 8, and Hutchinson had 7.3. My point is, there's about 25 minutes there that were totally wasted with candidates that should have not even been on the stage.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. And it's sad because what I was trying to tell you guys earlier on Burgum, I love that dude. The problem is he is not cut for this. He's so in over his head. But if you listen to him with his small town talk and how he was brought up, dude, there's nothing more than you can do but love that dude. It's he's not for this.
No.
He's for North Dakota. You know, that's where he belongs, a town of 300. That's a good dude. He's a good dude.
Yeah, you wanted to be your neighbor, not your president.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. You know, that dude ripped his Achilles yesterday and still showed up to the debate.
Exactly.
With a torn Achilles yesterday.
Yeah. It was remarkable.
LeBron James would have taken 4 years off if that would have happened. Burgum's talking about going home, jumping on his horse.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what you got to love about that dude.
That's right.
All right, so let's close this up. Each one of you, Rick, I'll start with you. Give me your opinion on the debate. Who won? If you think anybody won. Did it do anybody any good? And who was just
DeSantis won to me. I think it'd be a toss up because of DeSantis' popularity. And like I said, I love the dude, but he needs to loosen up. Just get back to, you know, I get it. I'd be a deer in headlights myself. You know, if you've never been in that kind of stage, in that kind of pressure, you don't know it. You know, everybody expects them to be better. They're humans, man. That's a big moment. I would love to see Vivek, like I said, no matter what, get a position of something or just accept that he's got some fresh new ideas and use them, Republicans. I mean, if he's not a Trojan horse, use this dude. He's pretty brilliant, and he's got a touch on some of the younger crowd, which is, I think we're getting away from on that side. Again, Nikki Haley, I thought had some great points. I loved her abortion talk about, I don't care if 70% of Americans agree with this. We don't have the numbers in Senate and Congress to get it passed. Correct. So stop talking like we do. I love that point. That was fantastic to me. Chris Christie just needs to go away. I'm over that dude. He's a suck up. And again, I hate to say it like that, but he is. He reminds me of a good fellow from New Jersey that'll tell you anything you want and to suck up to anybody just to be on that stage.
What
He's
about
done.
Pence? What are your thoughts on Pence?
I think Pence, I love Pence's Christianity and I love his belief, but I'll tell you what, he was pushing it too hard last night and he sounded like a pastor. And that doesn't come across 110% anymore. Not the way it should, because to me, he looks like a snake. He looks fake to me. He does. He looks way too polished, and he was smug last night. He was very cocky last night. When they cut him off a couple times, he had this look like, how dare you? I don't like that.
Did you guys see that interview that Tucker Carlson did with Pence, where Tucker Carlson asked him about Ukraine?
Yep.
And you guys remember that?
Yep.
That to me was that was it. Pence's career was over.
Well, here's the problem, and this is why it's over. When you watch the debate, you realize he wasn't listening to Tucker's question. He was responding to Tucker's tone. What he was basically saying is, I don't want to hear that. Basically, he was dismissing Tucker because he knows Tucker doesn't support him. So he screws up because his answer was, that doesn't matter, right? But it does matter. But he was so on his talking point, he wasn't listening to what was being said. And so he was answering a different question. But that's when politicians, we know they're acting like politicians. Because this is what we love about Vivek. He's willing to go anywhere, anytime and answer questions, right? I should say Vivek, because that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, no, I keep calling
But the point is, he has the courage to go anywhere and talk to anyone at any time. And that shows a brilliance and a confidence in what you know. And I will tell you, watching his uptick in terms of his knowledge base has been fun to watch because he's been studying what he needs to study.
Mm-hmm. Tom, to that point, real quick, did you see him confront the transgender activist at Iowa? That was brilliant. Yep. It was absolutely brilliant.
And that's what he's willing to do instead of being handled as campaigns do. And this is the worst part about politics are the handlers, the campaign staff, the campaign managers, the consultants, right? That's what ruins candidates. Overly scripted, overly tight. They get them so tense and worked up that they're afraid to speak and just say things the way they would naturally do it.
Right. You're right. Too many handlers at times. You're absolutely right.
All right. So Rick, you believe DeSantis?
I think DeSantis, if Trump is out of this race, DeSantis is the candidate, period. And I don't care how many debates we do. Vivek, he's going to get some upticks. Vivek's going to make a run at this. You watch, because you're going to get some young Republicans jumping to his side. I promise you.
Okay. Tom, what's your take on this? And then after that, I have one more question for you guys.
Well, I think Rick's exactly right. I think this is a Trump-DeSantis race. I think Vivek is a fun candidate. But like what often happens historically is you have the rise up and then the settling down. He's the new shiny thing, right? And so we don't know a lot about him. We're learning, but what we do know about him, we like. I mean, he's a brilliant guy. He's been successful. He's outside of politics, right? Which is what everyone loves. This is why they love Trump, right? So he's like Trump light in that respect. He's bold. He's strong. He's got a voice that carries, and I don't mean loud. What I mean is, when he speaks, he doesn't waste words.
All right, one last question for both of you. I believe Trump is going to get past this, and I believe he's going to be these indictments. I think he's going to get past that. I think he's going to be the nominee for the. My question is this, Rick. I'll go to you first. Who do you think he will choose as his vice president?
You know what? With all the animosity between him and I would love to see DeSantis be his VP. That's your strongest one, too, by far. I mean, it's a landslide if you do that, in my opinion. I don't care about these polls at 50-50. First off, this country's brain dead if you're putting that dude back in the office for 4 years. But if it's not, and I can't go with Vivek because he's too young. And that would be there'd be red flags. You'd get the younger guys. This is what I mean by this. I'd put him as a cabinet member. That's exactly what I said.
You don't think he'd attract the young generation?
I think he would, but I think some of these older Republicans would shy away from it, going, "What are you doing, Trump?" I truly believe that, and I think those voices still resonate a little stronger at this point.
Right.
So honestly, I don't know who he chooses. I mean, Scott to me had all the availability to make a run yesterday, and he just fell so flat.
Yes.
And I love that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Just fell flat to me.
Totally agree.
But it was the first debate.
Oh my gosh, Ralph!
You
But he even tried. He tried some MLK sound to him.
Yeah.
During one of the answers, he did the MLK on me, and I'm like, "Oh no, you can't! Why are you trying to impersonate him, man?" I don't even think he thought he was doing it, but you could hear it clear as day. If you go back, listen to it. It sounded dead on, dead on.
All right, Tom, over to you. What do you think?
As for his vice presidential candidate, it's really tough because I think Rick's like, I think early on I expected it would be Scott. I don't think it will be Scott now. I mean, partially. Keep in mind, let's go back just for a second. And in 1980, that race was a vitriolic race, right? Voodoo economics was not a term coined by the Democrats. It was coined by George Bush against President or the candidate Reagan at the time. They mended fences and they became a very successful team. The reality is, and Rick's exactly right, the best person he could choose to heal the party and help it get over the finish line in a successful way and set up a smooth transition to the future, because remember, he can only serve 4 years. So whoever he chooses becomes the odds-on favorite to be the 2028 presidential nominee for the Republican Party. So DeSantis is the right choice. And this would be let me criticize Trump here in doing this. Trump's biggest weakness, ironically, despite the fact that much of his fame to younger audiences came on a TV show that he created that was played by DeSantis pretty well when he said "you're fired" to Anthony Fauci, right? Which was a great moment last night. But here's been Trump's biggest weakness: personnel decisions. And during his administration, whether it was William Barr, Comey, not firing Comey, not firing Fauci, hiring certain people in his own administration, his first chief of staff, his secretary of the interior, you name it, he made bad choices over and over and over again on personnel. That's his biggest weakness. And so this would be an important moment for him to make the right choice. And the right choice is swallow your pride, swallow the battle, and say, I'm man enough because I am the man that I'm going to pick Ron because Ron is like me. He's a fighter. He's tough. He's resilient. But the nice thing is he's young and he's our future. That would be a brilliant way to heal the party and move it forward.
He's so dead on right there. The problem with Trump is stop taking it personal and think like it's your business. Yeah. Just on that decision, think like a businessman one time for us, because that is a hell of a ticket if that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think his ego is so big, though, which is what we need, by the way. I'm not criticizing him. I think
I agree with that, but I agree with Tom. He just needs to step back and be like, and listen to people. Because all you got to do is listen to probably the people around him saying Ron's the right one.
Well, you also see some people auditioning for it out there. Obviously, the governor of South Dakota, she's spending a lot of money of her taxpayers' money to be on commercials all around the country. That's her way of advertising and selling herself and getting name recognition.
I love Christy.
She's wonderful. She's wonderful.
Yep.
But I wish, like most women who make this choice, I just wish she would stop doing Botox and age naturally, because she's beautiful enough. She doesn't need it. She's
gorgeous. And I'll tell you what about the I'm forgetting her name, with the gray streak that came over from the Democrat Party. Go ahead. Here's
the problem with her, and I don't disagree.
Who is she? What's her name? Because I forgot also.
She's from Hawaii.
Yeah, Congresswoman from Hawaii.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yes.
Here's a problem. Keep in mind, she hasn't vacated her policy issues on things like abortion. So I would never
Truth.
want her to be president. I mean, so
No, truth. No. I'm just saying, I like her on our side, though.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
I really
Listen,
do.
we're a Big Ten, right? We're a Big Ten, and one of the things, and Ralph and I've talked about this before. I think it's important for us to pray every day to make the Democrat Party great again, have a loyal opposition. And Tulsi Gabbard, while I love her in our party, I do want
I wish she
sensible
was,
Democrats. I mean, listen, when Alan Dershowitz is the most sensible Democrat, there's something wrong with the Democrat Party, right? I mean, listen, I love Alan's mind. He's a brilliant man, and I can always respect his mind, but he was never going to vote the way I voted, ever.
No,
but that's what I want on the other side. I want someone who is thoughtful, who loves America, but just thinks differently than I do. It's okay.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if I did you guys pick a vice presidential candidate here? Who's going to run with Trump?
DeSantis.
Both DeSantis?
Yeah.
I love DeSantis.
I think it's got to be.
You think, huh? You see, I think he's going to go with either a female or Tim Scott. I know that sounds ridiculous, but
no, it does. But I'd take either one of them, honestly. Tim Scott's just got again, it's the first debate, and I get that, guys, but it's just he had a chance to grab the bull by the horns, and I don't think he did.
The funny thing is, Nikki Haley would have been setting herself up to be that choice had she not backstabbed Trump. After personnel decision, right? He chose her and gave her the platform to have that. So, by the way, I think it's important to note that abortion was number one topic discussed last night, which it shouldn't have been, right? That's absurd that topic was the number one topic discussed in the Republican debate. The second was Donald Trump, which makes sense, but it's not an actual topic, right? It's
right.
Credentials was third. So of the three top issues, none of them really matter as issues.
Right.
The issues are the border. The issues are the economy, inflation, crime, right? Education. These are the things that matter to Americans and what this next election should be about, not abortion, not credentials.
Tom, but Chris Christie got the UFO question, man.
Again, think about this. Think about how horrible Fox is, right?
I mean, oh my God, that's terrible, dude. And I'd like to, you know what? Hate Chris Christie, but that was the best answer I heard all night. Really, I get the UFO question? He goes, out of all this stuff, alien really is not on my priority. He's right. I mean, he should have been like, what the hell are you talking about?
That debate should have been 25% economy, 25% China,
and border,
and 25% border, and then 25% potpourri.
Yeah,
no, I agree. Totally.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to have to leave it there. I love listening to you guys. It's like I'm just a very simple guy. Tom, I listen to you, and it's like, God, what have I been doing all my life? It's just like I live.
You've been making money, man. You've been making money.
That's right. You've been making money.
But I don't. I try to simplify things. Everything's so complicated now. That's my mantra. This is why. I have arguments with people, my family. I says, why do you guys complicate things? Life should be simple. I don't want to get into that, but I listen to you guys, and you guys make so much sense. I don't know. I saw that stage last night, and this is all I'm thinking. What a bunch of morons! Except for that, for I love DeSantis, and this guy Vivek, I'm really liking him. Other than that,
guys, I agree.
What a bunch of clowns.
Tom's right.
Maybe,
why were two of them even on the stage? I don't know.
Here's
your dark horse vice president.
Yeah.
Ready?
So I'm thinking to myself, Jason.
There you go.
I gotta get me one of those. I gotta
do that with that. Yeah, on the back it's got try that in a small town, Tom, with the FAFO on it. Yeah.
I love it.
All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Please hit the subscribe button, the like button, all that kind of stuff. And, for you to stay in the loop. Our next episode is going to be called The Tide is Turning. And I know that Rick and Tom have some very strong views on that. And I'm going to basically oppose them a little on that. I'm going to push back against them. Okay. but I'm an optimist, and I still see it another way. But we'll see you next time. Rick, Tom, it's always a pleasure. We'll catch you next time. Have a good one.
Appreciate it.
Remember, guys, you just listening to You and the Truth. You've come to face with it. If you have any comments, just email us. All right. Take care. Bye.
You have just come face to face with the truth. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell so you will be notified when we drop new episodes.